Just one more hour until reinforcements, aka me, arrive to save the day. But until then, keep your eyes on the highway and keep on trucking with Jimmy Mack on Road Gang Radio, y'all.
Welcome to Trucking Tributes. I'm your host for Trucking Tributes, Susan Patten. And today on Trucking Tributes, I am speaking with Chris Drew of Minuteman Security and Life Safety, the corporate office out of Andover, Mass. But Chris is in the southern part of the grand state of Maine. And Chris,
Amen.
welcome you to the show. Amen is right, brother.
Thank you.
Excellent. So, Chris, the first thing I love to do for
Mhm.
audience on Trucking Tributes is to unpack your military career. I understand
Okay.
that you have a long-term service. So talk to us about
Yep.
that.
Yeah. So I served the first I was in the Air Guard, and the first about 5 years I was just a traditional guardsman, where I would come in on the one weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And then long about 5 years into it or so, a position became available at the guard station, where I was able to go to work full time, um, being behind the scenes, helping to plan the weekend activities and our deployments and that type of thing. So I did that for about 10 years, and then after that I decided to get back out into the private sector.
What did you like best about your military service and the Guard?
I think was just duty to country, and doing my part.
That's pretty awesome. So, how is it that you ever heard about Wreaths Across America?
Well, I was actually I'd gone to a few of the convoy meets down here in the southern, but I really got involved with Wreaths Across America from a couple of friends of ours who actually work in the office there, or did work. One of them has since passed away, but Beth Butler, who used to work in the office in Columbia, and she's since moved on. She's down in sunny Arkansas. And a friend of ours, Kathy Upton, also used to work in the museum there, and unfortunately, Kathy passed away last year. We miss her dearly, but she was most instrumental in getting us into this. She was really key, I guess is the best way to put it.
God bless her and rest in peace, Kat.
Yes.
We do miss her indeed. And of course, Beth has gone on to different pastures, but still very much a integral part of what it is
Yep.
we are doing here at Wreaths Across America. So
Yep.
came sort of part of that Wreaths Across America family, as we're all
Hmm.
talking about. What
Yep.
struck you, Chris? Why did you feel so strongly about the mission to remember, honor, and teach?
I think it's great that Karen and Morrill have looked to take care of the veterans, and they really have um, gone above and beyond. Um, I know Morrill's more out of it than into it, but Karen has continued on as an integral part of it, as well as working with the um, on the board. Um, but it just warms my heart to see, that private citizens actually taking the initiative to honor those that have served and that are serving,
Yes, thank
and some of who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
Absolutely. And you make such a valid point. Often people are saying to those that they meet at Wreaths Across America, oh, thank you for what you do. And I'm
Hmm.
very, very quick to respond to folks, well, thank you. That's very nice. However, it's American citizens that are making, excuse me, American citizens that are making all of this possible by
Yep.
sponsoring these veterans wreaths. And it's so cute that you mentioned Karen and Morrill. Of course, Morrill, as everyone loves his expression, well, I'm just a wreath maker for Maine. And
Yep.
a lot of people think that he's intricately involved in the work
Right.
of Wreaths Across America. He is not. In fact, they are our wreath vendor. He is our wreath vendor, but
Right.
otherwise, he does
Exactly.
not have really any say or input into the day-to-day activities of Wreaths Across America. Of course,
Exactly.
Worcester is our
Yep.
executive Her. Very, very involved, obviously, in everything that we do, and she keeps us moving forward as our theme for 2025 expresses keep moving forward. And it's so true, Chris. It's American citizens who are making this happen, whether it's by
Yep.
sponsoring veterans wreaths that you can do online at wreathsacrossamerica.org. And of course, those veterans wreaths are placed on the headstones of our fallen. We ask all of our volunteers to say their name as they place those wreaths. And we are now, Chris, if you can even imagine, at well over 5,300 participating locations.
Wow.
That's in addition to our flagship cemetery for, if you will, Arlington National Cemetery.
Hmm.
And that's just because individuals, just as such as yourself, are stepping up saying, hey, we love this mission to remember, honor, and teach. We think it's important to remember, honor, and
Yep.
teach, and we want to be involved with it. So, Chris, what did your actual first involvement look like? I know that you've known some of our folks, but what did that all look like for you?
Well, I mean, like I say, I attended a couple of the convoy meets in past years. And then last year I started getting the inkling to become involved in, the delivery portion of it. I started thinking about it more and more, and I actually talked with Kathy about it, and she put me in touch with some of the folks there um, at the Wreaths Across America corporate office, and they were able to get us involved with my company has a small 16-foot construction trailer that we use for storage on customer sites and that type of thing when we're doing projects. And they were kind enough to allow us to use the trailer and one of the trucks to come up and pick up a load. And we were honored enough to take part in a little bit of the initial convoy from Columbia out to Ellsworth last year. Going to do it again this year, good Lord willing.
Oh, that is
Um,
so cool. I love this story, and I'm going to have you get more in depth with it. But tell
mhm.
us a little bit about your company. It's Minuteman Security
Yep.
and
Yep.
Life Safety. Tell us about your company and how you operate, Chris.
Sure. They're actually very veteran friendly. We have a number of veterans that work for the company. One thing that they're making a change this year, but in previous years, they have had the special Veterans Day um, holiday for just the veterans to have that day off. So, and if you were a veteran and you worked for the company, you had that day off where everybody else was working. This year, because we've done some acquisitions and that type of thing, they're moving it more. Everybody's going to have it going forward in 26. But as far as the company's concerned, we do low voltage electronics. We do card access. We do camera systems, closed circuit TV. We do access control. We do fire alarm and security systems, intrusion detection and that type of thing. Um,
How
Pretty
long,
much low voltage, we do it.
okay, how long have you been up and running and doing this?
I've been with the company for 4.5 years. Um, but the company itself, um, oof, has been around for probably, I want to say a good 25 to 30 years,
Excellent.
um, in different modes. I actually became involved with Minuteman through a friend of mine who's now my boss. And we worked for a company that was acquired a few years ago. Norris Incorporated was the company, and he and I worked for them. And then he actually let me know about the position that I'm in now that was becoming available. He wanted to know if I wanted to check it out. I was, sure, why not? So it was an opportunity for me to get off the road and into an office and be able to support customers remotely. So I was really looking forward to that because I'm getting up there in age, and being on the road for 12 hours a day wasn't really as interesting to me as it was when I was 20 or 30.
Sure, that can be a long day without a doubt. I'm
Yep.
speaking with Chris Drew. He is with Minuteman Security and Life Safety, headquartered out of Andover, Mass. Chris is in the lower half of the state of Maine. And Chris, I am speaking to Chris on Trucking Tributes, of course. We thank the folks at Radio Nemo for having us on the show today. I'm Susan Patten, and I was told about Chris Drew by our Director of Transportation, Courtney George. And Chris kind of touched on it. We're going to jump in a little bit deeper on this, but Courtney George, our Director of Transportation, of course, always saying on Trucking Tributes that if she knows the dimensions, she can pack that trailer. Now, we can't do a flatbed, we can't do a tanker, obviously, but we are
Right.
always building relationships with people who can help. So if you've got a tractor, but you need a trailer, we've probably got somebody with a trailer who needs a tractor, and vice versa. And that's how it
Yep.
works. And so Courtney is always saying, hey, if you've got a will, we have a way. So don't stand back and say, oh, no, I can't do it. And Chris Drew, obviously, you
Absolutely.
did not stand back either. So you
Nope.
talked to Courtney, and how did it all go down? I mean, how did your first truck
Well,
arrange? What was it about?
sure.
For those who don't know.
Sure. Well, last year, it was kind of our infant year, so to speak. I kind of became involved in it, not really knowing the way things happened and that type of thing. So it was kind of disjointed at first when we got there. Nobody was, I'm a 16-foot trailer versus these 53-foot truck to trailer trucks. It was a little overwhelming when I got there, trying to find a place to park in amongst all these big rigs. But as far as, once I got there, everybody welcomed me with open arms. The folks there that were helping out, giving showing where the food was and whatever swag was available, that type of thing. It was very, very, very humbling to go there for the meet to get arranged for our cargo, and they didn't really, because the way that it happened, I don't think there was really a load put together for us. So we kind of had to hang tight for the day and see what transpired over the day. But like you said, if you give them the dimensions, they'll fill it. And they filled that trailer from stem to stern, so to speak, without an ounce of extra space. And we took 3 loads. We had one that we went to New Hampshire with, my son Aidan and I, Aidan also works for Minuteman. He and I went and did the actual deliveries. We went to one place in New Hampshire, one place in Massachusetts, and then we were slated to do a delivery to New Jersey, which was looking to be a long day for us. But fortunately, we contacted the point of contact, and she had a truck that was actually going to be in Connecticut that day. So we were able to meet him at a point in Connecticut. So it was a little bit closer. It saved us probably, I want to say, about 4 or 5 hours maybe of turnaround time. We were trying to get it all done in one day. So it was kind of
That is so awesome, Chris, because you are speaking so to exactly how we operate. We've got so many lanes throughout the country that are available and open, and many of our transportation carriers have been with us for years. And as you said, the traditional 53-foot trailer, the tractor trailer unit, and it comes in, it loads. We know exactly how many wreaths are going into the back of that truck, and out they go, and they've had their lane for some time. But what happens with Wreaths Across America is we allow our citizens to sponsor veterans wreaths right up to practically National Wreaths Across America Day, which is
yep.
this Saturday, December 13th this year. And we really try to allow people, because we've had cutoffs in the past, but then we find so many people kind of have missed the cutoff, and then they're very disappointed that they can't sponsor a wreath. So we try not to disappoint people. We try to get that up. And some of our smaller carriers, Chris, such as yourself and your son and Minuteman, is that's exactly how we do those last minute loads, those
Hmm.
slow loads, if you will, for lack of a better term. And we come up with a lot of that. And you've got to know that, one of our smaller drivers said to me at one point, I know I don't do a whole lot. I only did like 2,000 wreaths, but that what you're doing, that small load, is
Mm,
huge to Wreaths Across America because otherwise we would have to pay extensive shipping costs and mail costs through traditional
sure.
FedEx or UPS or however
Yep.
it's done. And that would be so expensive to us, to our nonprofit. So to have the little guys, as we say,
Hmm.
forward
Hmm.
like you guys have is tremendous. And you've really illustrated for us how it goes that, yeah, it may be a little last minute. We may not know where you're headed initially, but I'll tell you what, the phones in the transportation division at Wreaths Across
Hmm.
America never quit. Courtney is
Yep.
always on the phone. Sarah is always on the phone. Rob is always on the phone. And they are making these last minute determinations on who can go where, or even as you mentioned, who can touch base with whom.
Yep.
You might have a load transfer or a key handoff or what have you. And
Hmm.
how the transportation sector works for Wreaths Across America. There are all sorts of scenarios involved. So when you met with some of the volunteers, Chris, the other folks, the boots on the
Yep.
ground, as we refer to them, what was that experience like for you and Aidan?
Oh, it was great. I mean, like I said, they all welcomed us with open arms, treated us just, as no different than anybody else. And it was very, very humbling.
Love it. I'm
Um,
Susan Patten, your host for Trucking Tributes today on Radio Nemo. I'm speaking with Chris Drew with Minutemen Security and Life Safety out of Andover, Mass. Chris is a 15 plus year veteran with the Maine Air National Guard, and we thank him, of course, for his service and his patriotism in serving our country and stepping up to say, I will serve. And his son, Aidan, thank you very much, Aidan, for helping Dad do some of these wreath loads. And, Chris, for those uninitiated, how would you describe coming up to the Truckers Lounge and getting?
mhm.
I know you said it was a little disjointed because we weren't quite sure where you were headed, but what
Right.
define that experience a little more for our listening audience?
Well, I mean, basically, we showed up there in on the morning of load in, and I really didn't know where to go. Because I mean, a lot of companies have the designated coach, I guess is what they call them, where they have one person who's in charge of it, and they'll get all the information and that type of thing. So I didn't really know where to go. But once I got in there and met with the people, they pointed me to actually to Courtney, who helped get my load together, um, and it was seamless, pretty much. I mean, a little disjointed at first, but other than that, um,
And
yeah.
we try very hard to make
Yep.
it easy for our drivers who are having to go hither and yon to make
Yep.
sure that the experience is comfortable and that we support you in every way. I had another professional company tell me just recently on Trucking Tributes, Chris, that Wreaths Across America probably has the biggest network of support that they have ever encountered as
Hmm.
and this was a larger company, much larger
Yep.
company, trucking company out there. And he said, Wreaths Across America really makes it easy for us to step up as a company and say, what can we do to help? And we are there to guide them. And it's so true. We have, an international footprint as a nonprofit organization, but a very small staff. But easily
Hmm.
said, our staff, our roles and responsibilities are literally to support our volunteers to make sure that we make your jobs a little bit easier to handle and know what you're doing. So meeting the volunteers who were there at your locations, what was that like?
Hmm.
What was the feel like?
It was very, like I say, very welcoming, and friendly, and we really had a good time. Um, One of the things I did want to mention is, when we first got there, there's all kinds of trucks and that type of thing at the Truckers Lounge, but Sunday morning when we woke up to get ready for the convoy, um, I had no no recollection whatsoever what to expect, no expectation. And we got there and it was just mind-blowing seeing the numerous number of trucks that were there. And the outpouring of service that the guys were given, the guys and gals, I should say, that they were providing. It was just unbelievable. I mean, and I don't know if you remember, like last year was not the best year for takeoff. It
True.
it was very, very stormy that morning.
Wintry,
Matter
wasn't
of
it, Chris?
fact, what's that?
It was a little wintry, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And I gotta give tributes out. I don't know the gentleman's name, but directly in front of us, and was a gentleman on a tricycle motorcycle, a tricycle motorcycle. He had his flags on the back. He never winched at all. Made it most of the way to Ellsworth, and then the wind finally got him, I think, down around Gouldsboro, somewhere down around there. It just got to be too much with the rain and the wind and the snow and the
Buddy, I can
um,
tell you his name, and he's a
yep.
Marine, right? So
Okay.
the Marine is
Yep.
going to just keep pushing through no matter what. That was
Absolutely. Yep.
Michelle.
Well,
He has been one of our Patriot Guard riders for years and years and years, and
okay.
maybe a little stubborn. I might put that in. He'd
No.
be the first one to agree that he might have been a little stubborn about. We tried
Yep.
to tell him that it was going to be snowy, but Bill Michelle has always pushed through for us because he's an
Won't
incredible
stop him.
patriot, and folks
Yep.
love that. And
Yep.
and our law enforcement knows that we'll try to make it safe for our motorcyclists, and if not,
Hmm.
what they wind up doing is they peel off, they wait for
Right.
clear, then they get back on the road and they can move a whole lot faster than the escort can.
Right.
The
Yep.
whole. And so they get ahead of us and they rejoin us down the highway. And it's we
Mm.
love that song "Snow at Arlington," done by Don Campbell, where they check the road ahead to be sure that we're okay, and that's really their role and responsibility with us on the Wreaths Across America convoy and the escort to Arlington. And many people don't realize that, Chris, that if you are a transportation supporter and you are hauling veterans wreaths, you can, in fact, if your load allows it and if your destination for your load allows it, you can hang tight with us in the state of Maine and actually depart with us as the annual wreath escort to Arlington National Cemetery gets underway. So that truly, in the state of Maine, makes the annual wreath escort literally miles long as
Hmm.
we depart the state of Maine. And as you
Yep.
were alluding to, it was almost kind of a little intimidating to be a
It was.
smaller carrier
Yep.
in amongst all these big guys and gals. And
Exactly.
we have room for them all, and it really does
Yep.
make a tremendous veterans parade, as we call it, leaving the state of Maine and going into Ellsworth. And then as we get into Ellsworth, Maine, a lot of folks have to peel off and go in different directions and so forth.
Right.
And the annual wreath escort itself is typically about 11 to 12 tractor trailer units, with another smaller unit or two for some of our ceremonial wreaths and that sort of thing.
Right.
And anybody getting involved, if you're listening to Trucking Tributes today, please give us a call. Reach out to Courtney George, because we always, always need trucks. And some of them can be small trailers, just like Chris.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be the typical tractor trailer unit. By golly, we've had folks hauling with motorcycle trailers too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yep.
last year was our first year where we initiated the motorcycle unit that wasn't the Patriot Guard in front of us. Rather, it was the guys and gals who have motorcycle trailers. And
Ah, okay.
they unloaded that trailer and they put it in, and we can put boxes in it. What, Chris, do you think was probably some of the most meaningful moments for you that we haven't touched on that you think are important to share?
I mean, I think probably the was, I gotta say, was during the when we did the trip from Narraguacas High down to Ellsworth, just seeing all the folks lined upon this on the side of the street. The gentleman that would obviously be a veteran, or down to the young kids, standing there with their hands on their heart, or just standing there reverently, giving the appreciation. just seeing that. And I mean, especially last year with the weather the way that it was, the number of people we still had out there, standing out there
And
to
we
meet
go
the,
in all kinds of weather. Obviously,
yep,
we err on the side of safety, but if we have nasty weather, then our law enforcement officials make sure that we just go extra slow. And, it may delay. The joke at Wreaths Across America with the annual wreath escort is, we might be running a little late, but try to move that package down the highway,
yep,
right? Our law
sure,
enforcement officials are incredible. Those folks that work with us every year
yep,
and to make sure that we are moving safely and responsibly. But let's face it, our military never had a choice. You never had a choice.
exactly.
Guard.
Yep,
I mean, you couldn't just wake up one morning and say, "Oh heavens, it's snowing. I don't think I'll go to duty today."
right.
You
Yeah,
know, they just didn't have that choice,
nope,
nor do we, because
right.
we are in line to hit a certain destination at a certain time. And we really can't thank you enough, Chris Drew. I mean, just amazing stepping up to the plate. Now, you understand that you're going to be participating again this year, right?
Yep,
Do you know any more at all about your loads yet, or is it going to be another year where
nope,
you're just going to
no, I'm still
stay
waiting.
flexible?
I actually Courtney actually got hold of me and she's putting a load together. So I should have it within a week or so.
Yeah.
It's the end of October right now. So, she said probably, beginning in November, beginning to middle of November, I should probably hear something from the load masters. So,
Yes, absolutely. And, it's amazing how time flies so quickly. We're in season. We are already, or I say we, Worcester Wreath Company, our wreath vendor, they are
mhm.
already working on the tipping process, which, by the way, these trees are not cut down, these balsam fir trees. They are tipped. It's actually an agricultural process in the state of Maine by which people gather brush for
Yep.
holiday events and decorations and so forth. So these trees are tipped, and then branches are gathered from the trees, and those branches make up the bouquets, the fresh balsam bouquets that are on these veterans wreaths. And it really is a tremendous process. Now, were you able to see any of that process when you came up to Maine for the first time, Chris?
Well, yeah, I had, and I'd actually been, Kathy had um, gotten us over there, and we actually were able to. We made a couple of trips out there. Actually, one of the trips was a number of years ago. We came up there for a concert at the amphitheater, but this the year before I did this. We actually, I contacted the folks there in the office through Kathy, and they had one of the dog tags made for my uncle, who had served in World War II, and we were able to go out there and hang it on the tip land.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a special place.
So,
Tipland,
yep,
Balsam Fir Tipland. The dog tag is part of our Remembrance Tree program.
yep,
If you're coming up to Maine and you have a family member who has served, you are able to select one of those balsam fir trees, call it your own family tree, and Wreaths Across America will make a dog tag, replica dog tag, of
yep.
course, with your information on it from your family member, and you can place that on the tree. And folks, visitors to the Tipland just love going out and hearing those dog
Oh,
tinkle.
it's just, oh, it's mesmerizing. It
Isn't it,
really is.
Chris? Yeah.
Just being out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Chris Drew, one of our military veterans who has stepped forward yet once again to say, I will serve. And in this capacity, it's by hauling veterans wreaths. He doesn't have a tractor trailer unit. He's got a smaller trailer, but by golly, has been willing to fill it and become a member of our Wreaths Across America honor fleet, making sure that those veterans wreaths are getting to the volunteers, our boots on the ground, so that military members who are laid to rest in our participating cemeteries can be remembered, can be honored, and we teach that next generation, as Chris alluded to, having his son with him on the trip, teaching that next generation the value of freedom. Chris, anything else before I let you go today on Trucking Tributes?
No, I mean, one of the things that I probably should have mentioned before, but that I really enjoyed was knowing that a couple of the places where we went to deliver, I don't know that you could have got a tractor trailer truck in there. but those guys and gals work miracles.
Exactly right.
But one of them was an American Legion Hall that was on a side street and didn't have a real big parking lot and that type of thing. But I mean, I'm sure they would have made it work, but it was much easier for us to get in and out of there, I think.
You are precisely right. And
Yep.
it's not always a large national cemetery that's participating.
Nope.
Any cemetery where U.S. service members are laid to rest can participate. Volunteers need to just get permission, of course, from that cemetery operator and come in and honor the fallen within that cemetery. And you're absolutely right. Many of these smaller locations are not able to host a large tractor trailer unit. By golly, we have some folks out west, Chris, that are showing up with their horse trailers. And
Yep.
their livestock trailers to offload the tractor trailer unit, and the driver of that tractor trailer unit calls the location coordinator, says, hey, we're going to be here on thus and such a day, and then they make
Yep.
arrangements to have other volunteers come in and offload that truck.
Gotcha. Yep.
Everybody, it literally takes
Hmm.
a village, if you will, of all
Amen. Yep.
transportation modes to pull this
Yep.
off. Chris Drew, thank you so much for stepping up, serving us once again as a country by making sure that you are a represented member of the honor fleet for Wreaths Across America. Thank you for taking the time out today and joining me on Truck
Thank
Tributes.
Thank you, Susan. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it, and I enjoy doing it. So.